Hi, everybody. Today I ended up making tags and stickers. I was out on penguin.com and found this sheet, and that's the absolute easiest way to um, create stickers and labels when you have a sheet like this. And you can make those from some that you already have, but right now I'm just typing in or doing the secret code, proving I'm a human. And now I'm downloading it. Now, I made several mistakes throughout, but I was just trying to figure things out. And what did I want? And, so they weren't really mistakes. So basically, I'm going to leave it all in. I'll explain what I feel like, what I was thinking when I did it. Okay, opened up a blank document. Now I'm going to find the thing that I just purchased, and I forgot that it wouldn't be under photographs yet, or my photos. It's on the web still. So I'm searching. Well, there it is. It's the first one that's there. So I just pulled it in. It's all one sheet, so everything's going to be created at the same time. Now I'm going to find a background paper. I'm waiting to see where I went. I got some from the web and some from Symbols, I think. I'm discovering that I probably don't need to save as much as I usually do. Yeah, here I am looking for some paper. And I literally do type in paper the first time. The next time I do it, I typed in backgrounds because I have more variety with that, with backgrounds in the title, I think. So I'm just picking one of these. They're kind of grungy looking. And I end up not loving this because when you stretch it out to fit the tags, the lines are too far apart. But that's okay. I'm showing you what I'm doing here. And that charm that's up there was there before. I just didn't bother to move it. Now I'm going to eventually, hopefully, drag that over and shape it so it fits the piece of paper. And now all I'm going to do is go to mask and mask it. I love masking. See? Nothing to it. So simple. Now again, it is all still a single sheet. I would have to cut them apart, which I will do eventually on another set that I did. Like I said, I don't love those blue lines. So I decided to try the grid paper. I don't remember. I've got a lot of grungy looking paper that I've downloaded from different sites. I just like the look. Okay. I'm not real sure why I'm doing all this moving around, thinking, I guess. Now, I will try to find shape. And whenever you've got a bunch of stuff like this, like text or the problem with it is, okay, here I'm just going to find one and crop it out. And I make a mistake there. It's not big enough. I accidentally hit something, I guess. Now I'm do grab again. And I'm going to do it over on this side instead of doing it with the gray, I guess. I just decided to do this version of it. I love using grab because now I can take it into transparency And all that white background will be simple to get rid of. All I have to do is tap on it with the fill tool. I see I always have it paint is my default because that's usually the last thing I do. Alright, so now I've just created that single thing that is a single tag. And I'm doing it again. I'm not real sure why I did it again. I need to start talking while I'm doing these videos. I don't. I turn it on mute. But then I can't remember what I did, so I guess I need to go ahead and record, and then I can separate the text or the voice off. Now I'm just looking for shape to give it a border. But see, this is a mistake I make a lot. Notice that I'm doing all this changing because that's what I want to create when I do a find the shape. But because it's not selected, it's not working. That's another mistake I make a lot. You have to have it selected for what you're doing. If nothing is selected, you're basically creating a default, but you're not changing the existing thing. Now see, I selected it, and now I'm having to do all the settings again. And I'm looking at this black outline, and it's too thick, so I think I try to take it down a notch. I just don't love the look of it. I apologize too of all the sniffling I do through these videos. There's something I'm allergic to in this house, and so I spend a lot of time like this. Okay, now see, I'm using a gradient saved filling. I like that because it kind of gives it a not so flat look. Thing is, the problem with it is that you have to fade to white so it's not clear, and it does change the color of the image that you're putting it on top of. You know, whenever you create a fine boundary shape creates a shape, and it puts it on top. Now you can move it to the back, but if you've got something like this shading that I'm doing here, you have to leave it on top. And again, that particular shading, you have to go to white. There's no going to clear, which I wish we could do, but you can't. Okay, so now I'm going to the sheet again and getting rid of, what am I getting? Oh, I know what I'm going to do, I think. I'm adding dots to it so that it looks, so I can hang the tags, basically. They came solid, and honestly, these holes are too big. I've made them too big. But all I did to do that was I made it, see the green, the fill slider thing. You make that as big as you want it, and then just dot the screen. Just tap on it, and it'll make a good circle for you. Now see, this is an example of how it will not do a shape with all those shapes being separated. If I wanted them all to have the outline, I would have to have them touching, and then that wouldn't work for what we're doing here. That works if you're trying to do text. If all your letters are touching, then your find shape will find the whole word. Otherwise, if the letters are separated, you really don't know what you're going to find. Okay, so now what I'm doing, I decided to go ahead and duplicate that and take one of them into transparency again and make the dots. And now I'm knocking the size down a little bit. It's still too big, so I think I undo that and then I make it smaller so that my dot's not so big. There, better. And I'm just tapping the screen where I want the dots to be, which is basically going to end up being the whole of the tag is what that is. Now, later, I will add a screw to the tags, to one of the ones I decided to go with on my planner. And so it wouldn't have been necessary to put these dots, but this way, if I decide to come back later, I can always just add a string to it, an image of a string, and it looks like I've tied it on. See, now here's my black image with the holes in it. And again, I will go ahead and get another background paper so that when I create the tags, they'll come with the holes on them. You know, you kind of sort of learn as you go and realize, well, I shouldn't have done that. So now I'm looking for background. Oh no, I'm doing DK paper. DK is Deb, the Exquisart, my favorite artist. She's got some of the coolest papers. But that didn't pull up anything, so I'm going to have to see. It just pulled up some of her girls. So I'm going to go back out and do background by itself. See, well, there's some more. It's still not the whole, all that I have, but it's all that's all I needed. So I pull in one that's kind of a grunge look. Just all I did was hit mask. I'm going to eventually do a 101 Reasons Why I Chose Zoom Notes over GoodNotes. And masking is one of the reasons. You cannot find that. Well, you know, I say you can't find that anywhere else. I'm convinced you can't. But see, all my tags now have the holes in them. And see, I just tried to do fine boundary shape, and only one of them got caught. So I'm going to have to, as bad as I hate to, and what I ought to do at this point is, oh my, I just noticed one of my automations went off. See, now I'm splitting them apart. I took it to crop, and I'm cropping each one out. And really and truly, what I need to do is just leave it all as one sheet rather than having all these separate pieces, and leave it as a sheet. And as I need things, then just do a grab or do a crop out like I'm doing now. Because odds of me actually wanting to use these labels, this paper, are probably slim. So I really don't need to make all these individual versions of this particular paper. You know, next week I won't want this grunge paper. I'll want something bright and pretty, I guess. Now this one, I look at it and I'm and I decide I don't need that. There's a couple of shapes on this page that I just really don't love. Like, I don't love that. You know, I guess in the right context it would be all right. And if you had some kind of border on it or something, I don't know. I do like that shape. Well, each time I just do a save and continue. That's another, I need to add that to my list. As I go, as I'm creating these future video things, the 101 Reasons, I have to write them down. Okay, now all I'm doing here is checking to see if there's another color that I want of these tags. And I'm just, you know, I never use blues and purples and mauves and those colors, so I don't really go with any of these. I went ahead and took one over to, like this. I kind of like olive green sometimes. So I decide on one of these colors and I just do save and continue. Now, something about that, you don't need to do save and continue and done on that last thing. It creates two versions of it. So that's why I've got two of those greens, and now all these individual pieces of the first. I did a fine shape. I don't love that black outline. You're not going to have a tag that looks like that. What I really want is a drop shadow. That's usually the reason I use the fine shape, is to add that drop shadow. Now at this time I decide that I do want to go ahead and use that gradient without the outline, and I'm not real sure what I'm doing. Okay, it wasn't selected again. See, that's a common mistake I make. So I've got it selected. I go back to Fine Boundary and see it put that gradient on top without a line and with a drop shadow. I love that look. Now that looks like a three-dimensional tag. But see the difference in color when I added that gradient on top? Completely changed the color, which is okay with me because I like that color. You see there, I've just shown you the two pieces. And I continued to do this. I don't know why I go to all this trouble for each one of these things, because I'm not going to use them. I just love the look of that. So neat. And see, it kind of gives it, the gradient kind of gives it more of a rounded look, as opposed it gives it more dimension than just the flat label. See how it is right now? It's a flat. So just be aware of that whenever you use a gradient like that. It will change the color of your final product. I'd give anything if it would fade to clear. And just more of the same. Now I ended up going with this particular one. Now that I'm looking at it, I wish I had made it a little bit thicker, but I didn't. Oh, good grief. I should have done make 10 tags in less than 1 minute video. I may still do that over on the other group, maybe the other channel. Okay, now I think I'm opening up. Oh no, I'm pulling in a screw head. These are just, I wish I had gone with the bright brass one, but I didn't. I went with this one, and that looks more like a snap when you see it reduced. Now, this is an issue that I have. I probably, if I zoomed in on it, I wouldn't have the trouble that I'm having when I start doing this. Because it's so small, I end up making a duplicate, with the green plus. And when I try to drag it to where I want it, it pops to the size of the shape that I'm putting it on top of. See, watch. See? I'm consistent with it. See, again, it's going to do it again. The way you get away from doing what I just did, had so much trouble with it, is to zoom in on it, and then you have more area to put your your pencil. That's my problem. I keep touching that middle square, and you can't do that. Now, another thing I do to avoid that, and why I didn't do it already, if you use the loop select, it looks like a rubber band select, and you make it way bigger than what you're grabbing, you can grab, it makes the selection bigger than the actual object. Okay, now I'm just getting that screw head. And like I said, I didn't need holes if I was going to do that. I didn't like that snap looking thing. It's the same color, so I decided to go with that instead. I'm not real sure why I didn't go ahead and zoom in on this thing. It works great for the first one, but boy, you try dragging that sucker over. See, I did make it a little bit bigger, but it doesn't help in the long run. See, it's a green plus, so it's going to blow up. I need to turn that off when I'm doing stuff like that. You know, that's an option that can be turned off. It's using the little tiny tools over on the left side of the menu up at the top left corner. Okay, now what I'm doing, I think I'm grabbing all to copy, and I'm going to paste it into my actual journal. But the problem is, you'll see that I get over there, and for some reason it didn't grab the shadow or the top layer of the shape. And I do that. It's another thing I do a lot. When I'm trying to go to another document, I end up closing out and opening back up. You know, all this muscle memory stuff, once you make a mistake, you're destined to make it over and over again. Okay, finally I'm in my this week journal. I made that March, I like that, March 14 through 20. See how it doesn't have the drop shadow or the overlay, so it really doesn't matter, because I end up deciding that I'm just going to make this black because I don't like that color here anyway. This month, for some reason, I'm pretty much focused on this particular look. I just created the drop shadow again. Okay, I'm on fill now. See, I just changed it to black and said, oh, heck with it, I'm going with the black. And of course, the screws don't show up as well with the black there. Now I'm just going to type in some text. Make today matter. That's one of my favorite sayings. I changed the font to Papyrus, I think. And now I'm just trying to make it bigger. And which made it grow too big. And instead, I was being dumb here. I didn't grab that bottom right corner and stretch it out sideways. And I'm trying to fit it. I don't know why I did that. Now I figure it out. Oh, okay, I got to grab the red corner, so I make room for it to fit on that line. So that's it. I hope y'all have a great day. Bye.